Welcome to my channel Unleash Your English, my friends. Do you feel grammar is too hard? You study again and again, but still forget the rules, right? Maybe it's your problem too. You understand grammar when you read, but when you speak, everything disappears. Don't worry, you're not alone. Stay with me till the end because today I'll show you how to learn English grammar easily, step by step, in a way that finally makes sense and stays in your mind forever. Chapter 1. Grammar was my biggest fear too. When I first started learning English, grammar felt like a mountain that I could never climb. Every time I opened a grammar book, I saw strange words and rules that made no sense. I tried to remember them, but the more I studied, the more I forgot. I felt small, confused, and sometimes even stupid. I used to think, maybe English is not for me. Maybe I will never understand it. But deep down, something inside me whispered, don't give up. There must be another way. I remember sitting at my desk one night trying to understand the difference between I have gone and I went. My head hurt. I closed my book and looked at the ceiling. I said to myself, why is this so hard? That was the moment I realized something important. The problem wasn't grammar itself. The problem was how I was learning it. I was trying to learn grammar like a machine, not like a human being. I was memorizing, not understanding. The truth is, grammar is not your enemy. Grammar is just the way English works. It is the map that helps your words find direction. When you understand the map, you can go anywhere. You don't need to fear it. You just need to walk slowly, one step at a time. Grammar doesn't have to be boring or scary. It can be simple, even beautiful, when you learn it with the right mindset. When I stopped thinking of grammar as rules, everything changed. I started seeing it as patterns. I began to notice that native speakers didn't think about grammar rules when they spoke. They just spoke naturally because they had heard those patterns thousands of times. So I started listening carefully to movies, songs, and people. I didn't study grammar pages anymore. I studied real sentences. I listened. I repeated. I noticed. Slowly, my brain began to understand how English worked without stress. One day, I caught myself saying a perfect English sentence without even trying. I smiled. That was the moment I realized that grammar is not something you memorize, it's something you absorb. It becomes part of you when you use English every day. When you read, when you listen, when you speak, grammar starts to live inside your words. You don't need to fight it. You just need to invite it into your daily life. If grammar scares you today, remember this: you are not the only one. Every learner feels lost in the beginning. But those who keep going, those who don't quit, find out that grammar becomes easier with time. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to practice a little every day. Even 10 minutes of learning can make a big difference. Think of grammar as a friend that helps you express your thoughts clearly. It helps you tell your story. Without grammar, words are like pieces of a puzzle. But with grammar, they form a beautiful picture. You don't need to rush. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep learning with patience and curiosity. So today, make a promise to yourself. You will not be afraid of grammar anymore. You will learn it step by step, naturally and peacefully. You will make mistakes, and that's okay. Mistakes are not signs of failure. They are signs of progress. Each mistake teaches you something new. If grammar was once your biggest fear, let it become your greatest strength. Because once you understand it, you will not only speak English, you will feel it. You will start to think in it. And that is the moment your English journey truly begins. Now that you know grammar doesn't have to be your enemy, let's move to the next step, where you will learn how to make grammar feel natural, easy, and even fun. Are you ready? Chapter 2: The Secret of Learning Grammar Naturally. When I finally stopped forcing myself to memorize grammar rules, something magical happened. For the first time, I started to actually understand English. It felt like my brain was waking up. I realized that grammar is not a set of hard rules to follow. It is a language of patterns, rhythm, and feeling. You don't need to fight grammar. You need to listen to it. You need to let it become a part of your daily life, just like breathing. You see, when children learn their first language, they never sit with a grammar book. They don't study past tense or present perfect. They just listen, watch, and repeat. Their brains collect sounds, words, and structures naturally. After hearing something many times, they start to say it correctly without even thinking. That is the secret you need to learn English grammar easily. You have to learn it the way a child learns, by using it, by listening to it, by living with it. When I started listening carefully to how people spoke in movies or on YouTube, I noticed something interesting. They didn't care about grammar labels, but their grammar was always right. They had trained their ears first, not their memory. That's when I began to do the same. I listened every day. I listened to short English stories, conversations, songs, and podcasts. I repeated what I heard. Slowly, grammar began to sound natural. I didn't even have to think about it anymore. It just felt right. I started to notice small patterns. When someone said, "I am eating," I felt that this sentence was happening now. When someone said, "I ate," I knew it was about the past. I didn't learn that from a rule, I learned it from real life. Grammar became my friend because I understood it through examples, not explanations. It was simple, it was real, and it worked. The truth is, grammar lives inside real sentences. You cannot find it in long explanations. You find it in everyday English. So if you want to learn grammar easily, stop running after hundreds of rules. Start listening to real English. Watch how people use words. Read short English stories. Pay attention to how sentences are made. The more you notice, the faster your brain learns. Grammar starts to make sense when it connects with your life. At first, it might feel slow. You may think nothing is happening. But believe me, your brain is learning quietly inside. Every time you listen, your mind is building grammar blocks. Every time you repeat, your memory is getting stronger. And one day, you will speak correctly without knowing why. That is when you will realize how powerful natural learning is. Don't pressure yourself to be perfect. Don't rush to understand every rule. Just give yourself time. English grammar is like a song. You have to hear it many times before you can sing it beautifully. Keep listening, keep speaking, keep noticing patterns. You will be surprised how much you can learn without any stress. I want you to believe that grammar can be learned with joy. It doesn't have to be painful. You don't have to feel lost. You can make it your companion by surrounding yourself with English. Let grammar come to you naturally. Speak simple sentences. Repeat them daily. Celebrate every small improvement. When grammar stops feeling like a rulebook and starts feeling like a rhythm, you are learning it the right way. You are no longer studying English. You are living it. And when you live English, grammar becomes easy. It becomes part of your thinking. It becomes part of you. Now that you know this secret, get ready. Because in the next chapter, I will show you exactly how to start with simple sentences that will help you build a strong grammar foundation without fear or confusion. Chapter 3. Start with sentences, not rules. When most people begin learning grammar, they open a book and see long, complicated rules. They try to memorize them word by word. But the more they memorize, the more confused they become. I used to do the same. I thought that if I knew all the grammar rules, I would speak perfect English. But I was wrong. The truth is, grammar doesn't live in books. It lives in sentences. Real simple sentences that you use every single day. Think about how you learned your first language. You didn't start by learning subject, verb, object. You started by saying simple things like, I'm hungry, or I want water. You didn't need grammar rules to say them. You learned by using them. That's exactly how you should learn English grammar too. Start with sentences, not rules. When you focus on sentences, grammar becomes natural. It becomes something you feel, not something you have to think about. When I began learning grammar through sentences, everything started to make sense. I picked one simple sentence and repeated it many times. For example, I go to school. Then I changed it slowly. I went to school. I am going to school. I will go to school. Suddenly, I understood how tenses work. I didn't need to remember the names of the tenses. I just saw the difference. My brain understood it like a story. Past, present, future. It was so clear. This is how you can do it too. Take one short, easy sentence from your daily life. Maybe I eat breakfast. Practice changing that one sentence in different ways. I am eating breakfast. I ate breakfast. I will eat breakfast. You don't need 10 grammar books to understand this. Just one sentence can teach you how grammar moves through time. That is the secret most learners miss. You don't need to study everything at once. Choose one pattern and master it. When you repeat sentences again and again, your brain starts to build automatic grammar. You don't need to think anymore. You just speak. That's how fluency grows. Grammar becomes part of your muscle memory. It becomes effortless. I know many learners who spend years reading grammar rules but still cannot speak. They are afraid to make mistakes because they keep thinking about the rule before saying a word. Don't be like that. Let your words flow naturally. Don't worry if you make small mistakes. Every time you speak, you are training your grammar. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes. When you learn through sentences, English stops being a subject. It becomes your language. You can feel the difference between he goes and he is going without memorizing any rule. You start to understand with your heart, not your head. That's the beauty of learning this way. It is simple, it is powerful, and it works. So start today. Take 5 sentences from your daily life. Practice them. Change their tenses. Speak them out loud. Listen to yourself. Notice the rhythm of English. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Every sentence you learn is a new step toward confidence. Remember this forever: grammar is not a wall between you and English. It is a bridge. And that bridge begins with one simple sentence. When you walk across it every day, slowly and calmly, one step at a time, you will find that grammar becomes your friend. It will help you, guide you, and give you the strength to speak beautifully. Now that you know the power of learning through sentences, get ready for the next step. Because in the next chapter, you will discover how to find and recognize the hidden patterns inside English grammar. That's where real learning begins. Chapter 4. The Magic of Patterns. When I finally understood that grammar lives inside real sentences, I started to see something beautiful. I began to notice that English repeats itself. It has patterns, just like music. Once you learn the rhythm, you can understand and speak naturally. Every tense, every sentence, every rule, it's all part of a bigger pattern. That's the secret most learners never see. Grammar is not about remembering hundreds of rules, it's about recognizing the patterns that connect everything. I remember watching an English movie one evening. I wasn't thinking about grammar at all, but after a few minutes, I started noticing the same kind of sentences again and again. I am doing this. He is going there. They are watching. It clicked inside my mind. The pattern was am, is, are, cousining. It was the present continuous tense. I didn't learn it from a grammar book. I learned it from listening. That night, I felt something shift inside me. Grammar suddenly looked simple. That is how your brain loves to learn, through repetition and patterns. The more you see and hear a structure, the more natural it becomes. You don't have to force yourself to remember it. Your brain will do it for you. You just need to pay attention. Notice how people speak. Notice how verbs change. Notice what words come together often. Grammar becomes easy when you see it like a picture, not like a list of rules. Patterns make English predictable. For example, once you know the I am cousining pattern, you can use it anywhere. I am eating. I am studying. I am learning. You don't have to study each sentence separately. The pattern does the work. It's like learning the melody of a song. You can sing many lyrics with the same tune. That's why understanding patterns saves time, energy, and frustration. When you focus on patterns, English becomes fun. You can play with it. You can take one sentence and change it again and again. Try this, I like apples. Then make it, she likes apples. Then do, you like apples? Suddenly, you see how small changes create big meaning. This is grammar in action. This is learning through discovery. You are no longer a student memorizing rules, you are a learner exploring a living language. You can find patterns everywhere. In songs, in stories, in subtitles, even in your favorite YouTube videos. When you hear a sentence that feels natural, pause and repeat it. Ask yourself, what pattern do I see here? Write it down. Use it in your own sentences. The more you do this, the stronger your grammar becomes. Slowly, you start building your own library of English patterns inside your brain. Sometimes, grammar looks confusing only because you are looking at too many things at once. But when you break it down into small patterns, everything becomes clear. It's like solving a puzzle, one piece at a time, and suddenly the picture appears. The feeling is amazing. You start to trust yourself. You start to believe, yes, I can learn this. Remember, every great English speaker started by noticing patterns. They didn't memorize thousands of rules. They listened, they repeated, and they learned through real examples. You can do the same. The magic of grammar is not in the books. it's in the rhythm of real English. So from today, train your eyes and ears to see patterns. Listen carefully. Repeat naturally. Learn from life. Because when you understand patterns, you don't just learn grammar, you master it. You start speaking with confidence, clarity, and flow. And that, my friend, is when English finally begins to feel like your own language. Now that you've discovered the magic of patterns, it's time to learn how to build them into your daily life. In the next chapter, we'll talk about how small, simple steps each day can make. Chapter 5. Small Steps Every Day. When I first started learning English grammar, I wanted to learn everything in 1 week. I wanted to speak perfectly, write perfectly, and understand everything right away. But that dream turned into disappointment. I tried to do too much, and I got tired. I forgot most of what I studied. One day, I realized something powerful. The secret to learning grammar is not speed, it's consistency. Small steps every day work better than big steps once a week. You don't need to study for hours. You just need to give English a small space in your daily life. 10 minutes in the morning. 5 minutes before sleeping. That's enough to make real progress. Every small step you take builds a habit inside your brain. When you study a little every day, grammar starts to stay with you. It becomes part of your memory, part of your thinking, part of your speech. Think about how plants grow. You cannot pour a whole bucket of water one day and then forget them for a month. They will die. But if you give them a little water every day, they grow strong and green. Grammar is the same. You don't need to flood your mind with information. You need to feed it daily, with small and simple practice. One day I made a rule for myself. Just one grammar goal each day. One tense, one pattern, one short exercise. I promised myself that no matter how busy I was, I would not skip it. Some days I listened to a short dialogue and noticed how sentences were formed. Some days I wrote 2 or 3 examples in my notebook. Some days I just spoke to myself in front of the mirror using one grammar pattern. Slowly, I saw a big change. My grammar became stronger without pressure. Small steps have power because they are easy to repeat. When something is easy, you do it again. And when you repeat something daily, your brain remembers it forever. You don't need to study for hours to learn grammar. You need to make grammar your daily friend. A few minutes of real focus is worth more than hours of tired studying. Every small step is progress. Even if you learn just one sentence correctly, you are moving forward. Don't compare yourself with others. Everyone has their own speed. You are building a foundation. You are training your mind to think in English. You are teaching your mouth to form correct sentences naturally. This is how real learning happens, quietly, slowly, but surely. I know there will be days when you don't feel like studying. Maybe you feel tired or busy. But remember, even reading one short paragraph or repeating one sentence aloud is better than doing nothing. Keep the habit alive. Never let the chain break. That small daily effort will make you stronger than you can imagine. Each day you learn a little, your confidence grows a little. And one morning, you'll wake up and realize you can speak and understand English grammar without thinking. It will happen because you didn't give up. You stayed consistent. You respected the power of small steps. So today, promise yourself that you will take one small action every single day. Maybe listen, maybe write, maybe speak, maybe review, but do something. Keep your English heart beating. Because grammar doesn't belong to those who study fast. It belongs to those who keep going, no matter how small their steps are. Now that you understand the strength of small daily steps, get ready for the next lesson. In the next chapter, you'll discover how listening can secretly train your grammar and make you fluent without even realizing it. Chapter 6. Listening, the Hidden Grammar Teacher. When I first started learning English, I thought grammar came only from books. I believed I had to study hundreds of pages to understand it. But one day, something unexpected happened. I was watching an English movie, and I heard people using grammar perfectly without even thinking. They were not reading any rules, they were just speaking naturally. That was the moment I discovered the secret power of listening. Listening is the most silent and powerful grammar teacher in the world. Your ears are smarter than you think. When you listen carefully, your brain begins to copy the sounds, patterns, and structures of English automatically. You may not even notice it, but every time you hear a correct sentence, your mind remembers it. You start to build grammar inside your brain without stress. You don't have to force it, it just happens naturally. Think about how children learn their language. They listen for years before they ever open a book. They listen to their parents, to stories, to songs. Their small brains collect all those sounds, words, and grammar patterns. Then one day, they begin to speak. Their grammar is not perfect, but it's alive. It's real. That's how you can learn too. You can train your ears to catch grammar just by listening daily. When I began listening to English podcasts and simple conversations, something beautiful happened. I started to hear grammar instead of reading it. I noticed when someone said, "I am working," instead of "I work." I could hear the difference between "he has gone" and "he went." My ears started to understand before my eyes did. Listening made grammar feel like music. It had rhythm, tone, and emotion. You can do this easily. Start by listening to slow and simple English every day. You don't need to understand every word. Just listen. Let the language flow into your mind. The more you listen, the more your brain will connect the right words in the right order. It's like training your inner grammar without opening a single rulebook. Even when you don't have time to study, you can listen. While you are walking, cooking, or traveling, play English audio in the background. Your mind will keep learning silently. You don't need to take notes all the time. Just listen, enjoy, and feel the structure. Grammar becomes natural when you hear it again and again in real situations. Listening also builds your confidence. When you hear correct English often, you start to trust your own sentences. You begin to recognize when something sounds wrong. You may not know the rule, but you can feel it. That feeling is true grammar power. That's what native speakers have, and that's what you can build too. The more you listen, the better your speaking becomes. You start using the same sentence patterns automatically. You speak with better flow, you make fewer mistakes, and you begin to think in English, not in your native language. This is how grammar becomes part of your natural speech. So today, promise yourself that you will listen more. Watch English videos, listen to audiobooks, follow podcasts for learners. Hear the sounds, repeat them, and feel the language grow inside you. You don't need to study hard. You need to listen smart. Grammar is not always found in pages. Sometimes it hides inside voices, waiting for you to hear it. Listening is not just a skill, it's your secret grammar teacher. And the more you listen, the more fluent, confident, and natural you become. Now that you know the power of listening, get ready for the next step. Because in the next chapter, you'll learn how to practice grammar without fear and how every mistake can actually become your best teacher. Chapter 7. Practice without fear. When I started speaking English, I made many mistakes. Sometimes I said the wrong tense. Sometimes I used the wrong word. And sometimes people laughed. It hurt. I felt embarrassed. I wanted to stop. But deep inside, a small voice whispered, "Keep going." Every mistake is teaching you something. And that voice was right. The only reason I speak English confidently today is because I kept practicing, even when I was afraid. Many learners wait for the perfect time to start speaking. They think they need to learn all the grammar rules first. They wait until they feel ready. But that day never comes, because grammar becomes strong only when you use it. You can read about it for years, but you won't feel it until you speak it. You must practice. You must make mistakes. That's how real progress happens. Think about how a baby learns to walk. They fall again and again, but they never stop trying. They don't feel ashamed, they just get up and try again. And soon they walk. You must be like that baby, fall but rise again. Every mistake is a step forward. Every wrong sentence is a lesson that takes you closer to fluency. When I started speaking English daily, I noticed something amazing. The more I practiced, the more confident I became. My sentences were not perfect at first, but my courage grew stronger. Slowly, grammar started to fix itself inside my mind. I didn't need to force it. My brain was learning naturally through every conversation, every correction, every moment of practice. Fear is the biggest enemy of learning. It stops you from growing. It makes you quiet. It makes you doubt yourself. But when you practice, that fear begins to fade. You realize that no one is judging you as much as you think. Most people are happy that you are trying, and every time you speak, you build a new level of confidence. Don't wait for your grammar to be perfect. Speak now. Use the rules you know. Even if you only know a few patterns, use them again and again. Speak with your friends. Talk to yourself. Record your voice. Ask questions in English. The more you use what you learn, the more your grammar will improve. Books teach you rules, but practice gives you power. One of my biggest breakthroughs came from talking to myself. I used to describe everything around me in English. I am cooking rice. I am opening the window. I am writing in my notebook. These simple sentences helped me practice tenses, verbs, and structure without fear. No one was there to correct me, and that made me free. I could speak without pressure. So if you feel shy or afraid to speak with others, start alone. Speak to your mirror. Talk to your phone. Read out loud. Listen to yourself. Enjoy your own progress. Step by step, you'll become braver. And one day, when you speak to real people, your words will come naturally. Remember this truth. Mistakes are not your weakness. They are your teachers. Every time you use grammar incorrectly, you learn how to use it correctly the next time. That is the beauty of practice. You learn by doing, not by waiting. So from today, promise yourself one thing. You will not be silent anymore. You will practice every day, even for a few minutes. You will let go of fear and focus on growth. Because those who practice daily, even with mistakes, always win in the end. Now that you've learned to practice without fear, get ready for something special. In the next chapter, You will discover how grammar comes alive when you learn it through stories. Stories make grammar real, memorable, and full of meaning. Chapter 8. Grammar Through Stories. One day, I stopped studying grammar like a student and started feeling it like a storyteller. That was the moment everything changed. Grammar stopped being boring. It became alive. It started to make sense because I could see it inside stories. When you learn grammar through stories, it is not just about right or wrong sentences anymore. It becomes about real people, real moments, and real emotions. That's when grammar begins to live inside your mind. Think about the stories you hear every day. They are full of grammar, but you never notice it. When someone says, "Yesterday I met my friend," that's the past tense. When someone says, "I am walking to school," that's the present continuous. When they say, "I will visit you tomorrow," that's the future tense. These are not grammar lessons. They are life. Grammar becomes simple when you hear it in context, when it is connected to real feelings and actions. I remember when I started reading short English stories for beginners. At first, I read just for fun. I wanted to understand the meaning. But slowly, I began to notice the grammar inside the story. I could see how verbs changed when the story moved from yesterday to today or tomorrow. I saw how questions were made. I saw how words connected naturally. That's when I realized grammar is not something you memorize, it's something you experience. Stories teach grammar in the most natural way possible. When you read or listen to a story, your brain learns patterns automatically. You don't even have to try, you just feel it. The next time you speak, those patterns come back without effort. You don't need to think about rules. You already know them because you have seen them in action. Try this simple exercise. Read a short story or watch a short English video with subtitles. Then pause after every few sentences. Ask yourself, why did they use this tense here? Why did they say was going instead of go? When you start asking these small questions, you begin to understand grammar deeply. You see how it connects with time, emotion, and situation. When grammar lives in stories, it becomes easier to remember. You remember that "I was crying" belongs to a sad memory. You remember that "I will try again" belongs to hope. Grammar becomes part of emotion. That is why stories are so powerful. They teach your mind and touch your heart at the same time. If you ever feel tired of grammar books, take a break and read a story. It can be a fairy tale, a diary, a conversation, or even a simple paragraph from the internet. Focus on how the sentences move. Notice the verbs, the pronouns, and the questions. Every line is a grammar lesson in disguise. When you learn grammar through stories, you begin to think in English. You start connecting ideas naturally. You don't worry about rules anymore, because the story teaches you how grammar really works. And the best part? You remember it longer. What you learn from emotion stays forever. So today, start small. Pick one story and read it slowly. Feel the sentences. Speak them aloud. Write a few of them in your notebook. See the patterns. Enjoy the journey. You'll be surprised at how much grammar you absorb without even trying. Grammar doesn't belong only in grammar books. It lives in stories, in people, in your own life. The more you live it, the more you understand it. Let grammar tell you stories, and let stories teach you grammar. That is how you build true fluency. Now that you know the power of learning grammar through stories, get ready for the next chapter. In the next one, we'll talk about how to keep your grammar growing strong by writing your own grammar journal. A few minutes of writing each day can completely transform your English journey. Chapter 9. Grammar Journals. Your Daily Helper. When I was learning English, one of the most powerful habits I built was keeping a grammar journal. At first, I didn't think it would help. I thought writing was difficult and I was afraid to make mistakes. But after a few days, I noticed something amazing. Writing in a grammar journal made my English stronger. It helped me remember what I learned, and it made grammar feel personal. It wasn't just something from a book anymore, it was part of my daily life. A grammar journal is like your best friend. It doesn't laugh at your mistakes. It listens quietly and helps you grow. Every time you write something, you are practicing grammar in a real way. You don't just read or listen, you use English. That's what makes it powerful. Writing forces your brain to build correct sentences, connect words, and use tenses naturally. You don't need to write long essays. Start small. Write 3 sentences each day. For example, if you learn the past tense, you can write, "Yesterday I watched a movie. It was interesting, I learned new words." The next day, you can use a new pattern. "I am writing in my grammar journal. I am learning English. I feel proud." These small examples slowly build your confidence. The best part is that your grammar journal shows your progress. When you look back after a week or a month, you will see how much your English has improved. You will see how your sentences have become longer and smoother. That feeling gives you motivation to continue. You realize that grammar is not something far away, it's something you are mastering every day. When I was writing in my journal, I made many mistakes. Sometimes I didn't know if a sentence was correct, but I didn't stop. I used my notebook like a place to explore. I checked my sentences later with a teacher, a friend, or even an online tool. Every correction taught me something new. Every improvement made me feel stronger. That's how learning happens. Slowly, quietly, but deeply. You can make your grammar journal fun too. Write about your day, your dreams, or even your favorite movie. Use the grammar points you are learning, but keep the topic interesting. The more personal it feels, the more your brain connects to it. Grammar becomes alive when it talks about your real life. Sometimes I used to draw pictures next to my sentences to remember them better. For example, if I wrote, "I am cooking," I would draw a small pot. It made me smile and remember the pattern easily. Your journal can be creative. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Writing in a grammar journal also helps you think in English. When you start describing your thoughts in English every day, you train your mind to use grammar naturally. You stop translating from your native language. You begin to form sentences automatically. That's when you realize that grammar is no longer a rule you study, it's a skill you live. So from today, start your grammar journal. Take a notebook, write the date, and start with one simple sentence. Don't worry about mistakes, don't wait for perfection, just write. Every sentence is a seed that will grow into confidence. Every paragraph is a step toward fluency. Remember, your grammar journal is not homework. It's a record of your journey. It shows your courage, your effort, and your progress. Write a little every day, and soon you'll notice that grammar feels easy, natural, and part of who you are. Now that you know the power of writing and reflection, it's time for the next step. In the next chapter, you will learn how to use simple questions and answers to make grammar even more powerful and turn every conversation into real learning. Chapter 10. Learn with questions and answers. When I was a beginner, I used to study grammar alone. I memorized rules, read examples, and filled pages with exercises. But when someone asked me a simple question, my mind went blank. I couldn't answer. That's when I understood something very important. Grammar is not just for reading or writing. Grammar lives in questions and answers. Real communication happens through them. If you want to master grammar, you must use it in conversations, not just in books. Think about how every sentence begins in real life. It usually starts with a question. What are you doing? Where do you live? Did you eat? Will you come tomorrow? Every one of these questions teaches you grammar. When you learn to answer them, you start to understand how English really works. It becomes real, it becomes alive. I remember practicing with myself. I stood in front of the mirror and asked, "What are you doing?" Then I answered, "I am learning English." Then I asked, "What did you do yesterday?" and answered, "I watched a movie." Every question opened a small door in my brain. I began to understand tenses without trying to memorize them. It was like playing a game, a fun and simple game that built my grammar naturally. When you use questions and answers, you are training your brain to think in English. You are building automatic grammar. You stop worrying about rules and start using them in action. That's the real secret to fluency. The more you practice questions, the faster you speak, and the fewer mistakes you make. You don't need anyone else to practice with you. You can do it alone. Ask yourself questions about your life. What do I eat in the morning? Where am I going now? What did I learn today? Then answer them in full sentences. Don't just say one word. Speak the whole idea. For example, say, "I eat bread and eggs every morning." "I am going to my class now." "I learn new English words today." When you speak complete sentences, grammar begins to flow naturally. The more you repeat, the stronger your grammar becomes. You can also listen to people talking and turn their sentences into questions. If someone says, "She works in an office," ask yourself, "Where does she work?" This small habit trains your mind to see grammar from both sides. You learn how to ask and how to answer, and that's how real communication grows. When I started practicing this way, something amazing happened. My confidence increased. I stopped feeling scared to talk to people. I realized that grammar is not something to be afraid of. It's something that helps you express yourself clearly. When you know how to ask and answer questions, you can connect with anyone. Grammar becomes a bridge between you and the world. Start with simple questions first. Don't worry about being perfect. Ask, answer, repeat, and smile. If you make a mistake, correct it next time. Every mistake means you're trying, and trying means you're improving. Every great English speaker once started like this, asking small questions, giving small answers, and growing step by step. You can do the same, because every time you speak, you are not just using grammar. You are building your future confidence. So today, take a deep breath and start your question and answer practice. Talk to yourself. Ask your friend. Write it in your grammar journal. Make it a daily habit. Soon you will see that grammar doesn't live in your books anymore. It lives in your voice, in your thoughts, and in your heart. Now that you understand how questions can train your grammar and your confidence, get ready for the next step. In the next chapter, we'll talk about how to review and reflect in a smart way, so everything you've learned becomes strong and unforgettable. Chapter 11. Review and Reflect. The Smart Way. There was a time when I kept learning new grammar every day, but I never stopped to look back. I thought more lessons meant faster progress. But after some time, I realized that I was forgetting everything I had learned. I couldn't remember old patterns, and I kept repeating the same mistakes. That was when I learned one of the most powerful truths in English learning. You don't grow by only learning new things. You grow when you review what you already know. Reviewing is not boring, it's smart. It's what turns weak knowledge into strong memory. Every time you review, you make your grammar stronger and clearer. You start seeing connections that you didn't notice before. It's like polishing a diamond. The more you polish it, the more it shines. Your grammar works the same way. You must give it time, attention, and care. When I started reviewing, I created a small system for myself. Every week, I took out my grammar journal and read old pages. I spoke those sentences again. I checked if I could still use those patterns correctly. If I forgot something, I didn't feel bad. I just repeated it. I made it a part of my routine. Slowly, the sentences became part of my thinking. I didn't need to force them anymore. They came naturally. Reviewing also helps you reflect. Reflection means looking back and asking yourself, what have I learned this week? What was easy for me? What was difficult? When you ask these questions, you begin to understand your learning style. You start to see which topics you need to work on more. This kind of awareness makes your learning faster and smarter. You can make reviewing fun too. Don't just read old notes, speak them out loud. Write them again in different sentences. Create small stories using the same grammar rules. Use them in your daily conversations. The goal is not just to remember. The goal is to use what you remember. That's how grammar stays alive inside you. I remember one evening when I reviewed a simple rule about the past tense. I wrote a few sentences like, I visited my uncle and I watched a movie. Then I turned them into questions. Did I visit my uncle? Did I watch a movie? It was so simple, yet it made me realize how much I had improved. That small exercise gave me a big boost of confidence. I could feel my grammar becoming part of my voice. Reviewing doesn't take much time. Even 10 minutes a day can make a big difference. You can review while you walk, cook, or before sleeping. Just repeat a few sentences in your mind. Think of how they change in different tenses. This simple practice keeps your grammar fresh. Remember, your brain learns through repetition. Every time you review, you build stronger connections inside your memory. It's like building a road. The more you walk on it, the smoother it becomes. If you stop using it, it fades away. So never stop revisiting what you've learned. Reflecting also helps you stay motivated. When you see your own progress, you feel proud. You realize that your hard work is paying off. You understand that learning English is not about being fast. It's about being consistent and smart. So from today, make reviewing and reflecting your habit. Don't rush. Look back, repeat, and grow. Celebrate how far you've come. Because every time you review, you are not just learning grammar again, you are strengthening your foundation. You are becoming the confident speaker you always wanted to be. Now that you've learned how powerful review and reflection can be, get ready for the final chapter. In the next one, we'll bring everything together and talk about how to use grammar confidently in real life. Not as a rule, but as a tool for expressing who you are. Chapter 12. From Rules to Real Life. Speak with confidence. There comes a moment in every learner's journey when grammar stops being a lesson and starts being a part of life. That moment is powerful. It is when you no longer translate in your head. It is when you stop thinking about the rule before you speak. You just speak. You just express. You feel free. That is what grammar is meant to do. It is not here to scare you. It is here to help you say what you truly feel. I remember the day I realized this truth. I was talking to someone in English, and halfway through the conversation, I suddenly noticed I wasn't thinking about tenses or sentence structures. The words were just flowing. My focus wasn't on grammar anymore. It was on connection. I was using grammar without even realizing it. That is the moment I knew that grammar had finally become part of me. Grammar is not a cage, it is a set of wings. It gives your words shape, beauty, and power. When you use it naturally, your sentences become clear. Your ideas become strong. You start to sound confident and fluent. But this confidence doesn't come from memorizing hundreds of rules. It comes from practice, patience, and real-life use. You have learned how to listen, how to write, how to notice patterns, how to ask and answer questions, and how to review. Now it's time to live grammar every day. Speak it, feel it, use it in your thoughts. When you describe your day, think in English. When you talk to someone, trust your instincts. When you make a mistake, smile and fix it. That is how real fluency grows. At first, you may still hesitate. You might stop to think about what's correct. That's okay. Every speaker goes through this stage. Even native speakers make small grammar mistakes. The important thing is that you keep moving forward. You don't need to sound perfect. You just need to sound real. You need to sound like someone who is brave enough to speak. Every time you use grammar in real life, it becomes stronger. When you say, I am learning English, or I was reading a book, you are not repeating rules. You are expressing yourself. That's what makes grammar meaningful. It helps you share your world. It helps people understand you. And that is what language is all about. When I finally stopped worrying about being perfect, everything changed. I started to enjoy English. I laughed more, spoke more, and learned faster. Grammar became my friend, not my fear. I realized that the purpose of grammar is not to stop you, it is to support you. It helps you build sentences that carry your thoughts clearly and beautifully. So speak with confidence. Don't hide behind silence. Don't wait for a perfect moment. That moment is now. Every word you speak is progress. Every sentence you make is proof of your growth. Grammar is already inside you. You've practiced it, you've written it, you've lived it through listening, stories, and reflection. Now it's time to use it freely. Whenever you speak English, remember this: mistakes mean movement, confidence means courage, and grammar is your partner in that journey. You don't have to speak like a native speaker to speak beautifully. You just need to speak with honesty and heart. So go out there, talk, share, communicate, make English part of your daily life. You have learned the rules, but now it's time to live them. Let grammar guide your sentences, but let your soul guide your message. That is where true fluency begins. And before you go, I want you to remember this one thing. Every word you say in English today brings you closer to the person you want to become. So keep speaking, keep learning, and keep believing in yourself. Because your journey doesn't end here, it's just beginning. Now take a deep breath, smile, and speak. You've earned it. If this video helped you see grammar differently, then your English journey has already started. Don't stop here, keep learning step by step. Grammar. Like this video to help more learners. Grammar. Comment below what part of grammar you find most confusing. I'll help you in the next video. Grammar, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel because your English story is just beginning and I'll be with you in every step of it.